Hi guys. Hello Demon Orb. Hi Grumpy. Hi Sam. Hello everyone on TikTok. I will give it a minute for people to kick in or for their notifications to kick in. This is an absolutely ridiculous thing you're going to be seeing because I saw a TikTok where this girl is wearing these things and it tones her arms. My arms are my biggest insecurity and they're always the biggest thing on my body. So I was like, I get to do nothing and just wear these things that are a kilogram each around the house and while I'm doing things, and this is supposed to make my arms somehow toned. Fantastic, we're doing it. A useless piece of information you absolutely did not need to know, but received anyway. Hi Lauren, hi John, hi Grumpy. So Sam says, can you elaborate on the capture of the former ambassador's murderer? Who is the former ambassador? Also, I don't know. This is also a useless piece of information, but I went to go get highlights and I left the salon being blonde. So I'm now very, very blonde when I put my hair down, which I'm going to do because why not? Something I literally have never pictured myself as a blonde person, but here we are. And I kind of like it. Hey Blondie, I kind of like it. It looks darker in a lot of different lights, and sometimes it looks very blonde, sometimes it looks not blonde, and I kind of like I'm embracing the blonde and I really like it, and I might go like get blonder if that's a term. So we shall see. For now I'm gonna put it in a ponytail because well in a bun. I'm not supposed to wash it until tomorrow. And tomorrow I have to go do something about this because, as you might see, this is like an absolutely wildly cut piece of hair that's not supposed to look that way. And the reason it does is because the hair dyeing process was supposed to take like what 4 hours or something. It took 6. And by the time that she got to actually cutting my hair, I literally stopped her after she made the cut. And I was like, I am so late to the studio. I can't do this. I'm going to come back. So I'm coming back tomorrow to like do something about this. So far, I've been pinning it back because it genuinely looks ridiculous. Hi, Michael. Yes, it is just a diagonal cut. Literally, there is nothing going on there. And it needs to be fixed. So we're going to go get it fixed tomorrow. Yeah. Hello everyone. Hi Les. Hi Hjalmar. Hi Nick. What are the new laws in Russia regarding women that don't want to have children? I'm from Lviv. What are the new laws in Russia regarding women that don't want to have children? I'm not Russian, and I don't necessarily keep up with Russian internal stuff unless it has to do with Ukraine because I don't really care for Russia. What's the bracelets? These are weights. I'm like trying to tone my arms without doing anything about it. So, this is just what it is. I know I look like an aerobics instructor from like the 1980s, but that's just what we're going with. So yeah, Slava Ukraini, Heroям Slava. Yeah, I don't necessarily know what the new laws are like in Russia. Laws in Russia keep getting more barbaric every day. If it gives you any sort of pointers into the direction in which I guess you want to have an answer in, domestic violence is not illegal in Russia, and violence against children is not illegal in Russia. It's considered a private family matter. So I suppose that if you're a woman in Russia and you don't want to have children, then you're probably going to have to face some sort of fines or like legal responsibility. I don't know. But again, like, here's the thing. I am so not interested in what's going on inside of Russia unless it has something to do with Ukraine or it has something to do with negatively affecting Ukraine. Because let's face it, there is nothing happening in Russia that can positively affect Ukraine. So there is that. I'm not an expert on things inside Russia. I also don't think anyone should be interested in what's going on inside of Russia. Russia is I find that a lot of the times that people ask these questions, and I'm not saying that you are doing it for that reason, but a lot of the times that people ask these questions, it's because they feel bad for poor Russians and like the barbaric state of affairs they live in. Um, they did that to themselves. They continuously keep trying to say that they can't do anything, right, about the situation they're in, but they can. But doing something involves potentially getting hurt, right? So it's easier to watch us die every day than actually do a protest and overturn the government or overthrow the government and get hurt, right? So that's the thing. They choose to watch us get hurt every day because they don't want to potentially get hurt. And at that point, I draw a line. I don't care if they have to have babies and they're being forced to have babies, or they live in like ridiculous circumstances. These are circumstances that they inflicted on themselves, right? Like we had a president that wanted to be a dictator, and we weren't scared of getting hurt to not let him become a dictator. And that was Maidan. So I genuinely have absolutely no remorse towards them and towards what's happening there, because genuinely self-inflicted, their problem, did that to themselves. Oh, Grumpy, you changed your TikTok username again. What idiocy did she just say? 2 question marks from a troll with a Russian name in his profile. Good try, Dmitry. The only idiocy happening on this planet is your country still not being removed from the Security Council. And, the fact that you try to blame every single person on the planet for this war except for yourself. You're on your backup. Oh, cool. Also, hi, Ian, and hi, Frank. I heard something about Russia forcing girls to have babies. Maybe. I was thinking those things kids have when they learn swimming. Oh, like floaties. No. Hi, Bernard. And New Orleans. Cool. Hi. Tomorrow they're doing a meeting about increase the interest rate in Russia to 25%. I mean, cool. Дякую. I looked up that party that Farion belonged to. Woo, Svoboda is something. Is something. Svoboda is like a far right nationalist party, but interestingly, she was actually part of the Communist Party. So I guess like that, the former ambassador that you were referring to, that someone was referring to, is Irina Farion. Irina Farion. She was a member of a far right government party, but that's not why she's like famous. No one really heard of her or like knew her very much. When she was in the government, she didn't necessarily do a lot there. People started knowing her when she basically started doing these like hot takes on Ukrainian language and Ukrainian culture on the internet, and she amassed like millions of views and stuff because she's very radical. But at first, it was sort of like lessons in Ukrainian language and what words not to say, and the fact that like people need to speak a clean and pure Ukrainian language, not use Russianized words and stuff. And then she started saying things like Russian speaking soldiers are animals and Russian speaking Ukrainians are not Ukrainian, and that they deserved the invasion and they deserve to die and stuff like that. She was batshit crazy, honestly. I don't condone what happened to her, and it terrifies me that someone decided that ending her life with a gun in broad daylight is okay, because that's the type of stuff that happens in the United States and does not happen in Ukraine. And I caught myself on this thought when it happened. When it happened that, like, oh, I'm not surprised that someone shot her because of her super radical views and like what she does on the internet, right? And then I realized, and my dad was like appalled when it happened. He could not understand how gun violence could have happened like that, because this just doesn't happen. Like shootings don't happen in Ukraine, like at all. So I realized this situation made me realize how traumatized I am by the United States, that, everyone around me was like, they were devastated. Like people didn't like her. No one I know liked Irina Farion. Yet every single person was like, this is crazy. This is awful. I cannot fathom how this happened. And again, I don't agree with it. I don't agree with killing her. I think that she should have, like, been investigated, and she's a great tool for Russian propaganda because she's like this stereotype of a crazy Ukrainian from the West, right? Like, and she's very divisive. But like, genuinely, I am like, I was not surprised that she was shot. I was like, oh, I'm surprised that it didn't happen earlier. Because if this was a person in the US and they were expressing the type of views she was in a situation in which we are in, they would have been murdered a long time ago. And it would have been like a shooting, And that really, like, catching myself on that thought was scary. And realizing that everyone around me does not think the same way because they live in a country where mass shootings are not a daily occurrence was also scary. And I really, really, really hope that Ukraine does not turn or have any sort of, like, resemblance to that, because it is just terrifying. And it was a terrifying thought to catch myself on. Like, I cannot explain to you, like, it's very hard for me to explain how much my dad didn't understand what I meant by this is the type of person that gets shot by a crazy person. He was like, what do you mean this is the type of person that gets shot? People don't just get shot in broad daylight for, like, for their views, no matter how, like, radical, crazy, and awful they are. It's like, they get investigated, they get put in jail, they get fined, they get fired from their job. They don't just get shot. And in my head, it's like, no. People like that literally get shot for spewing hate on the internet and being incredibly divisive. And my dad just couldn't comprehend it. And it took me a second to, like, get back down to earth and realize, oh, wow, I've lived in America for 13 years. So for me, I understand how someone could have done that, right? And that it's not weird, but it is weird everywhere else. Everywhere else, this just doesn't happen nearly as often, or, like, at all, really. So yeah, will the US win a gold medal in basketball? No idea. Okay, thanks for your answer. I understand it's just that in the US, JD Vance has been talking negatively about childless cat ladies. Wait, childless cat ladies? I mean, oh man, like, yeah, JD Vance is just like an abomination. To be fair, like, okay, so before we get into news about Ukraine, I do want to say that, like, first of all, I was so wrong about Kamala Harris. Like, I thought that she was lacking likability because it did not seem like Americans liked her as much as it turns out we do. Like, she's killing it. She's killing it so much. And honestly, like, if I were to believe in any conspiracies, the only conspiracy I would believe in is that, maybe the Democrats actually planned this stuff and they let Joe Biden run. So Republicans would spend all of their money and effort shitting on Joe Biden because now they put Kamala forth, and, like, the Republicans don't know what to do. They have nothing against her because they're not prepared. All of their propaganda is meant against Joe Biden. But here is where Trump really screwed up. He picked Vance as his running mate. And here's the thing. He probably picked Vance because he's super radical. And that appeals to the type of crowd that votes for Donald Trump, right? But the problem here is, politically speaking, and I mean, I love that. Like, I love that he picked JD Vance because he screwed himself so much. But, like, politically speaking, your running mate should be a person that appeals to the people that don't know who to vote for, not to the people that are already ironclad voting for you. So Trump picked a guy who's more hateful, more menacing, more disgusting, more misogynistic, more racist, more everything than he is. That way, obviously, solidifying all the Trump supporters who were going to vote for him anyway. But the people who were on the fence, that didn't know whether they didn't want to vote Joe Biden, they didn't want to vote Trump, maybe they were not going to vote at all, like, they're definitely not voting Trump now. because that guy is worse than Trump. So yeah, Trump really screwed himself. And then Kamala announced that she's running. And the people are so behind her. And to be fair, I watched her 10-minute address, her first one, and I loved every second of it. You know why I loved every second of it? Because, first of all, the bar is so low these days, but it was so nice to see not a corpse talking. I mean it. Like, it was so nice to see someone who does not look like they've been resurrected for this speech talking. It was fantastic that I could understand every single word she was saying. It was great. Honestly, it was new. It's also nice to see that she's actually excited to run and she's energized. And like, you know, she knows what she stands for. Her points make sense. It felt like watching debates, or it felt like watching candidate speeches before 2008, or like in 2008, like before the shit show that was the 2016 election. And it was really nice. And I understand that's such a low bar. Oh my God. But honestly, after like years and years and years of this, it was really nice. Yulia, I can appreciate your stance from New Orleans. I used to extremely violent crime. I'm old-fashioned, so more like your father. No, my dad is not used to violent crime. It's me who was used to violent crime. My dad like did not understand how that could be a thing. My dad has lived in Ukraine his whole life. So like, you know, it's not like the only times that this was the situation, it was like right after the fall of the Soviet Union, which was like, you know, we call them the rampant 90s, because the 90s were crazy and there was lots of violent crime because, you know, the Soviet Union collapsed and all the countries were sort of trying to like establish themselves and find themselves. Like 1990s were awful. But like it's been so long since then, and it's been like, you know, nothing like that has been happening. So my dad is not used to it. I'm used to it because I've lived in the US for 13 years. Do we know anything about Kamala Harris's stance on Ukraine? Yes, we do. The guy that she wants to appoint as the National Security Secretary is freaking amazing. So I think in 2018, I might be wrong. In 2018, he wrote a whole manifesto on how he thinks that we should start a Cold War with Russia because of their interference with the elections, because of Ukraine, because of the threat that Russia poses. And he's very radical on that. So I absolutely love. If that's the person she wants as the national security advisor, I bet you her stance on Ukraine are much tougher than Biden's. I think that one of the things that I expect from her is, first of all, Kamala did not spend most of her life in the Cold War era. Biden did, and most of the old white men in the government did. So they see Russia as the big mighty USSR, and they're scared of big mighty USSR. But Russia is not the USSR. Russia is like, you know, Russia wants to be the USSR again, but on its own, it's not scary. Hi, Ruby. So I think that honestly, her stance on Ukraine is going to be way less PG than Biden's is, because I think that Biden and all of these, and again, I'm going to say old dudes in the government, are going through like 7 stages of acceptance, you know, where like they still can't get over the denial part because they constantly keep thinking that Russia is scarier than it is, but less of a threat than it actually is. I think that she's going to be way, way better for Ukraine than he is. And it's evident by her choice of the national security advisor, who also, by the way, apparently studied Turkey in depth and absolutely despises that Turkey is in NATO and plays both sides, which that makes me like him even more. So, Webadeb. So yeah, Rob just posted a video on his stance in the USA news section of Discord from 2018, I believe. Yeah, 2018. His name is, let me see. I was just talking to Rob about it, but it's on my other phone, so I can't look it up. Actually, I think I might be able to look it up. Give me one sec. Robbie. Okay, so Philip Gordon is his name. He's an expert on Turkey. He doesn't like that they're in NATO and playing both sides. I just watched a video on 2x speed. Sorry, I know you're live. Gordon said that Turkey wanted Assad to go, so purposefully drew in the US to get us more involved. Oh, he mad about it. Philip Gordon, yeah, is the name of the guy that Kamala wants to be her national security secretary. Or advisor. So I'm really like, from what I'm seeing, he seems like a really good option for Ukraine, especially. Hi, Otanbot. To be fair, even the USSR needed to be bankrolled by the USA in World War II. Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is that, like, you know, they think of Russia as this like big, powerful country. Well, Russia is a struggling dictatorship where nothing is going according to plan. And the US could end Russia very fast if the US stopped like dragging its feet on providing Ukraine with everything we need to end this war. I was scared in 2022, and I'm scared still of what harm Russia will design and execute on others, backed up by their GDP and manufacturing capabilities. These are relative, but not to be ignored ever. No, of course, but that's the thing. Also, Jake Sullivan needs to go. And I'm so excited. It seems like Jake Sullivan is with her. Basically, Kamala is going to like completely reassemble the cabinet. And I am very excited for that, because I cannot wait for Jake Sullivan to be replaced by someone. I'm not a fan. Smaller than California. I'm not a fan. And I'm not a fan because he is the national security advisor that I believe is responsible for the US dragging its feet as much as it does. Oh yeah, okay. Can we block that little thing? Because that's not how it works. Hell yeah, Kamala. Hell yeah, the end to war. Because, you know, you end wars by getting Russia out of Ukraine. Harris didn't even know where Ukraine was on 23rd February 2022. That's not true. Why? Because there is a video circulating on the internet where she says that Ukraine is a country near Russia, which is another country that illegally invaded Ukraine. You know, it's funny because people try to like take that video to paint her as dumb. And like, you know, I, being a Ukrainian, had to do that exact spiel so many times because most people, in fact, need like, you know, needed to be explained as if they were a 5-year-old. And unfortunately, when I was seeing her explain to people what had happened and what a full-scale invasion of Russia into Ukraine is, I actually resonated with it. Because unfortunately, that might sound dumb to you, but you have no idea what it's like to talk to people that in fact do not know what Ukraine is and where it is and what Russia is doing. So yeah, when she was saying Ukraine is a country bordering this other country called Russia, which is much larger than Ukraine, that illegally invaded Ukraine. You know, I've been in that situation and I've had these exact words that I needed to use because of how unenlightened people were about the situation. So no, I don't think what she was saying was dumb or that was painting her as not knowing what Ukraine is or where it is. Also, like, people who try to paint Kamala Harris as unqualified are so annoying to me. She was an attorney general. Like, she's the vice president. Kamala is one of the most accomplished women in the United States. And anyone who tries to disregard that, like, you might not want to vote for her, you might not like her, but saying that she's unqualified is hilarious. Because she's very qualified. She is much more qualified than Donald Trump will ever be. Maybe she's not qualified because she's not a pedophile? Is she not qualified because she's not a felon? Is she not qualified because she did not use daddy's money to get where she is? Or is she not qualified because you are a bunch of racists? Because somehow the only arguments that I hear about her being not qualified are literally ad hominem. Before you block that troll, oh, thank you for blocking it. I'll speak to you in your mother tongue and then you use a Russian curse. Baby, I don't speak your shit-ass language. Sorry. But I do fluently speak English, as you can hear. It's wild that you would be offering to speak to me in a language I don't speak, and for some reason deciding that I would need to be spoken in a different language than I very clearly speak fluently. See, that's kind of what it's like to be a woman in public. But also, yeah, for people saying that Kamala is unqualified and also she's an anchor baby, are you aware that Donald Trump's grandparents were born in Germany and his mom was born in Scotland? Like, does that make him an anchor baby? Because you say that Kamala is unqualified because her parents are immigrants. So is Trump's. Trump's mom is an immigrant. But she's an immigrant from a white country, which is why that doesn't bother you, right? But Kamala's parents being not white bothers you. Literally the only reasons people are calling her unqualified is because she's a woman and she's a woman of color. Because from where I stand, she's an accomplished woman who was literally a prosecutor. She's a VP. She was a senator. She has a long political career. And the only person not qualified, and for some reason the person that you think is qualified is a felon, a person who committed sexual assault, a guy who used daddy's money to get wherever he is, a guy who goes bankrupt once a year, and who has literally zero political career behind his shoulders except for, becoming president because people like you voted him in. Yeah, he ain't qualified. Anyways. We're trying to assassinate our opposition, honey bunny. Trump's little ear nick resulted from a registered Republican. And also, like, when you literally look at the guy who shot at Trump, like, I'm sorry. There is, like, first of all, he is a registered Republican because that has been confirmed. But also, just looking at him, he's from the MAGA crowd. Like, there's a particular look to the MAGA crowd. And, like, he looks like it. Anyways, I am kind of done talking about Donald Trump because that's the last person on my mind ever. I'm also so very, 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 very excited that Kamala is running. I think that she is going to win this election. And yeah, I'm excited. And I think it's so funny, and you can tell, like, there are 2 times where you can tell that Russian bots are freaking out and that MAGA crowd is freaking out, is when they flood your lives and scream Trump 2024 because they have nothing to say. She has no chance. It looks like she does. All the polls are saying she does. See, here is the thing. Here is where your little cult leader went really wrong. The people that you're interested in making in the people whose votes you're interested in are the people who are undecided. They're not your cult followers. By picking J.D. Vance as his running mate, yeah, Donnie satisfied you crazy people. But what he didn't account for is the people who are independent, who didn't want to vote for Trump or Biden, and they were on the fence. They didn't know who to vote for. But he picked a hateful, racist, bigoted asshole to be his running mate, and that made you happy. But you know who's not voting for that duo? The people who were on the fence. the people who were on the fence. They're not voting for Vance by any means. And that was like, I mean, you know, that was a great choice from where I'm standing, because thank you for making that ridiculous decision. But it was also, politically speaking, a really dumb choice. So yeah, anyways, done with Trump. We're going to go back to news about Ukraine. Trump has already lost twice. Hi, Karen. SVP. I always thought that the Democrats chose Kamala as VP because they wanted to promote her as a future president. Yeah, that was the idea from the very beginning. But then I guess it went sideways. But I honestly am of the opinion that like the DNC might have honestly planned this whole thing, and like, well, I mean, this is like a far-fetched situation, right? But I think that they might have planned it and like let Biden run, have the Republicans use all of their propaganda on Biden, and then, you know, take their ace card out, which is Kamala Harris, because they're not prepared. They're literally not prepared. Like, the Republicans are freaking out. They're freaking out. Like, she just came out of the woodwork, out of nowhere. People don't know a lot about her. They don't have anything to say about her except for racist tropes, misogynistic tropes, and like, you know, saying that she's unqualified because she's Black, literally. Yeah, that's not going to go over well. But anyways, I'm happy that she's running. She seems to be killing it. People love her. I love her. She's great. I'm so happy again that she's young and driven and has, you know, and is able to speak. Yeah. Also, it seems like even Fox News is like tired of Trump and Vance, and I've seen multiple clips of them trying to get them off air, which is hilarious. Anyways, hi Morgana Cat. So before we start on the much needed news about Ukraine that we are here for, you know, this is why we've gathered here today. My classmates fundraiser is almost done. So last time we were able to raise, one sec, we were able to raise $238.69, and we were $1,500-ish away, and now the fundraiser is about $700 away, because obviously it exists on Monobank Jar as well, and so people contribute, and so maybe we could close it. $700 is not, I mean, it's not a little, but it's also not a crazy amount of money. So if you would like to contribute to the fundraiser, you could do so through PayPal, through Venmo, and through Revolut. The reason why I say it's about $700 and I'm not giving you a clear number is because the fundraiser is in Ukrainian hryvnias, and you know, if I give you a specific number today in dollars, it's going to change tomorrow or the day after, because it depends on like the conversion rate. And I'm sure, like, you know, if it's like 35 or 40 hryvnias away, it's fine. So yes, if you would like to contribute to the fundraiser, you can do so through Venmo, PayPal, or Revolut. All the links are in my link in bio. And if you are on YouTube, then someone is definitely going to post a link in the comments at some point. New topic. We see videos of people in Ukraine. We see videos of people in Russia, but what do you know of the people still living in the occupied territories? People living in the occupied territories live in terror. That's the thing. People living in occupied territories, first of all, you're not going to see videos from them because they're not allowed contact with their relatives. People that do live in occupied territories have a very hard time reaching their family. They have a very hard time getting jobs. They cannot, like, they literally get taken to torture chambers for speaking Ukrainian with each other. They get filtrated at random. And filtration is basically looking for like Ukrainian flags or communication with family in Ukraine, or literally anything for any excuse to torture you. People living in occupied territories are living in hell. Because first of all, those territories are of no interest to Russia in terms of like making them a livable place. They're stripped of resources. People do not get proper medical care. Kids get re-educated and indoctrinated into like, Putin's youth, which is basically Hitlerjugend, but in modern day. So people living in occupied territories are literally living in concentration camps. in open air concentration camps where they're not allowed to leave. They're not allowed to speak their language. They're not allowed to miss their family. They're not allowed to miss Ukraine. They're not allowed to want to be in Ukraine. Yeah, that's what people in occupied territories live like. And if those territories are going to be surrendered to Russia for peace, this is what their life is going to continue being like. Because Russia is going to be re-educating them into Russians. People in occupied territories live in hell. And a lot of older people are dying because they don't have money for medication. Russia doesn't bring in medication, proper medication, and they do not bring in real doctors. Like at most, they might bring in nurses. So no one's getting adequate medical care. That's what people live like. And yes, Mark is saying tattoos. Yeah, people get filtrated, or I mean, so I know the word is filtered, but it's like filtration camps. So I will say filtrated because, like, what filtered through what? Through a water filter. People get filtrated, and they get their tattoos questioned. You can have like an ancient, I don't know, Viking symbol, and they'll be like, "That's a Nazi tattoo. You are, I don't know, like connected to Azov somehow." And they will literally bring you to a torture chamber. They've cut off people's tattoos with their skin. That's what they do. That's a thing they do. So yeah, if you would like to contribute to the fundraiser for my classmate, which is about $700 away, Carlos posted the link to the Monobang jar, his fundraiser, and sometimes people have issues donating from debit cards in America, Canada, the UK, and I don't know, Australia. You would need to use a credit card because I found that credit cards work better than debit cards. If you don't want to do that, you can always donate to my Revolut, Venmo, or PayPal, and I will forward it to the Monobang jar. I looked on Google for restaurants in Donetsk City. There are no reviews newer than 2 years old, and it's been occupied for 10 years. So I'm guessing they're not even allowed to use Google. Oh yeah, they're not really allowed. They're not really allowed to use any of the like communication with the world. Hi Yulia, what's your Revolut? I don't see it in the description. Revolut is the same as Venmo and is the same as my YouTube channel. It's just at Yulia. So it's literally this. 1 second. Oh, okay. $20 on PayPal from Lynn, which brings us to $258.69 in total. But I'm going to actually, I think I'm going to annul that because that's already there. So out of the $700 that's left, we are at $20. Hi Chad. Hi Brian. I think because it's going to be confusing. So there is $700 left in the fundraiser, and we had just raised $20 more, so it's technically $680 ish left in the fundraiser. The reason why I say ish is because the fundraiser is in hryvnias, and conversion rates. So I'm giving you like an amount, an approximation amount. President Joe Biden briefly transferred power to Vice President Kamala Harris on when he had a routine colonoscopy at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center. Yeah, I remember that. I mean, she's the vice president. That's what she's there for, right? Is to take over responsibility when he can't. Oh, that's cool. You have a Greek last name. I really like Kamala Harris. I think she's great. I do too. I mean, honestly, there's so many people around the world who are so excited for her, not just Americans. It's like makes me honestly like brings me back to life. I'm so happy that I think Joe Biden did the best thing by stepping down and letting her run, because the entire DNC is so re-energized. Like, people are excited to vote again, which is awesome. Okay. Japan provides medical aid to Ukraine for Kharkiv region hospitals. The Ministry of Health of Ukraine announced that Japan has donated 20 vehicles and 5 portable ultrasound devices to medical institutions in the Kharkiv region. Additionally, Japan is purchasing 10 endoscopic imaging systems and plans to supply 20 specialized neurosurgical microscopes. Minister of Health Viktor Leshko expressed gratitude for Japan's support, especially in light of recent attacks on medical facilities, including the National Children's Hospital Ohmedit. Leshko emphasized the importance of this aid in mitigating the destruction caused by ongoing aggression. Hi, Yana. Future collaboration with Japan will focus on acquiring more medical equipment and enhancing rehabilitation and mental health support. Mental health support is honestly so important because, like, mental health counseling in Ukraine was really not advanced in Ukraine to begin with, and with the amount of like war PTSD that we have, it's really out of hand. We don't have enough therapists, and the problem is that we don't have enough military therapists because we simply, like, you know, the therapists we have to, like, they're not enough. We don't have enough people, but we also do not have at all a reasonable amount of military psychiatrists that can work with military PTSD. Because, for instance, if I were a therapist, right, the guys that come back from the front, they don't want to talk to me because I'm never going to understand them. They want to talk to a man or a woman who has been to the front before in their life and who is qualified to help them with their particular experience. So we are struggling in that field so much. I really hope that something is going to change. I mean, I have a plan on what should change, but I am struggling to reach the correct people to talk about it with. But I'm dealing with it. Unfollow. Bye. Why do you announce it? Like, I'm not gonna miss you. Like, if you unfollowed me for what? For like for wanting to deal with mental health better, or for Kamala Harris, or for the fact that I want the best for both countries. Bye. I like love when people announce that they've unfollowed me. Like, you know, I understand if I did something really shitty or scandalous, or I was like a horrible person or something like that. Like, yeah, that would make sense because you're sort of like, you know, you want accountability and you want me to see consequences. But when you unfollow me because my opinion is different from yours, like, bye. Like, well, my day's not going to change because of that. I'm here to, like, you know, to tell the news, not like to explain the situation in Ukraine, not to be liked by people. It's so weird. Also, yes, there is an air alert, and I want to see what type of an air alert. This isn't an airport. Don't announce your departure. Exactly. Also, hi, Jason. Good to see you. Let me see something. I want to see what type of an air alert. Oh, it's a MiG. Why is a MiG moving around at midnight? Okay, so it's a MiG. Hi, LJ. Hi, Phil. Hi, Christina. It's so funny when people do that. It's like, you know, it's like, I don't know. I think it's more for like their own kind of like, it's you know what that reminds me of, when like random people that I've never even heard about or that have never talked to me on lives, because like I talk to a lot of you, like we're friends. I consider a lot of you friends. Like we literally DM on Instagram, or like, you know, I have some of your telegrams, like we talk, right? So I find it so weird when like when someone that I absolutely don't know and I have never talked to, that I didn't even know existed, goes like unfollow. It's like, okay, cool. It's kind of like, it reminds me in middle school when there's like a kid that is like upset at you for some reason, and they're like, we're not friends anymore. Like, all right, cool. Anyways, excellent song from the Marsh Family on Vance, worth a look. So I saw something about Vance today where like he was, oh my gosh, you know what, I have to show you this because I thought it was so ridiculous and so good because of how ridiculous it was. And it was JD Vance talking about how he absolutely hates Donald Trump. And it was like, and it was not just like one time, it was legitimately a compilation of him talking about why Trump should not be president and why he wouldn't vote for Trump, which I thought was so funny. I'll find it because I saw so many political videos today. I'm just going to look into my likes. And I hope you guys, I hope I can find it for you. Oh, here. Yeah. Oh, excuse you. It was really good. It was so good. Oh my gosh, please stop. Stop glitching, TikTok. Why are you glitching at this important moment? But it was like a really good. So if you have TikTok and you do not follow Kamala HQ, you're missing out because whoever runs her social media is a freaking genius. Okay.
So this is really who Donald Trump chose as his running mate?
I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. It makes you think that at a fundamental level, this is sort of a he said, she said, right? And at the end of the day, do you believe Donald Trump, who always tells the truth? Just kidding. Or do you believe that woman on that tape?
I cannot stand Trump because I think he's a fraud. Well, I think he's a total fraud that is exploiting these people who is a total fraud.
Like I said, I agree with you on Trump because I don't think that he's the person. I don't think he actually cares about folks.
Definitely, there is definitely an element of Donald Trump's support that has its basis in racism or xenophobia. I think there's a chance, if I feel like Trump has a really good chance of winning, that I might have to hold my nose and vote for Hillary Clinton. I think that I'm going to vote for. I'm going to vote third party because I can't stomach Trump. I think that he's noxious and is leading the white working class to a very dark place.
So this is really who Donald Trump chose?
On a level, this is sort of a he said, she said.
Yeah. Brilliant. But also, this is not even the end of it. So someone made a music thing out of it. Let me try and find it because that was even better. It was like, I liked it recently. I think I saved it. Like, I don't understand. I can't find any of these things in my saves because I've liked so many videos. Oh, you guys, this one's even more priceless.
This is really who Donald Trump chose as his running mate?
I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. Never liked him. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. Never liked him. 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 I'm a never Trump guy. Never liked him.
So this is really who Donald.
I love. It's like, it's great. It's such a bop, you guys. I think this is the new song of the summer, you know. Screw a man in finance. This is it. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. Like, this is so good. Like, you can't even make it up. It's so good. I love it. I love it. I reposted it. So if you didn't get the repost on TikTok, I don't know what's going on, but I definitely did repost it. So this piece of information kind of like got me a little upset. But Boeing and Ukrainian aircraft manufacturer Antonov are exploring collaboration opportunities in the field of drones. It's great that we are exploring collaboration opportunities with big companies in the field of drones, but like, we all have heard about the Boeing situation, right? Like doors flying off aircraft, not following procedure, safety procedure. I'm just like, why Boeing? Why Boeing? Anyways, they signed a preliminary agreement at the Farnborough Air Show aiming to work together on unmanned systems to bolster Ukraine's air defense industry. This memorandum of understanding covers potential areas such as training, logistics support, maintenance of drones like Boeing's Scan Eagle, and engineering support from Antonov. Oh, engineering support from Antonov. Maybe that's that, you know, just slap a Boeing name on it. Engineering support from Antonov, Boeing production. Sounds like that could work. Both companies view this cooperation as a step towards supporting Ukraine's development and economic growth, highlighting their commitment to finding new collaborative opportunities within the Ukrainian defense sector. Russian rocket strikes hit the office of the Swiss Fund for Mine Action in Kharkiv, damaging an office building in the Nemyshlian district, according to the prosecutor's office. The attack destroyed the facade and ceilings on several floors and damaged 6 FSD vehicles. Also, the Russian Federation has refused Turkey's request to visit Ukrainian prisoners of war. Oh, we are so surprised by that, aren't we? According to Turkish Ombudsman Şeref Malkoç, during a meeting with relatives of the prisoners, he stated that in the absence of a response, Turkey intends to raise this issue with the UN Secretary General. Oh yeah, the same UN Secretary General that has no issues with Russia being in the UN Security Council. Fantastic. That's going to be fruitful. After my visit to Ukraine, we held an online meeting with the Russian ombudsman, Tatiana Moskalkova, and sent a letter but received no response. Consequently, on July 5th, 2024, I wrote to the Russian embassy in Ankara. In the letter, I mentioned my visit to Ukraine, visiting Russian prisoners of war in Ukraine, and expressed my desire to visit Ukrainian prisoners of war in Russia. Now I'm awaiting a response. And you will never get it, because Russian prisoners of war in Ukraine have divine conditions, and literally a lot of them said that these prison facilities are better than their freaking homes back in Russia. And Ukrainian prisoners of war in Russia come back malnourished with anorexia, a ton of different disease, gangrene, and a lot of other stuff. They're all tortured and beaten, and there is no access of any humanitarian organization to them. Yeah, Russia is not going to let you go visit Ukrainian prisoners of war. Rheinmetall has received an order from the Ukrainian authorities to construct a plant for ammunition production in Ukraine, as announced by the German defense company's press service. The order includes the complete technical equipment of the plant up to its commissioning, with an estimated cost in the range of hundreds of millions of euros. Construction is set to begin shortly, with an expected completion timeline of a few years. Production of ammunition in Ukraine is anticipated to start within 24 months. Armin Paperger, CEO of Rheinmetall, stated, "We are putting our words into action, and together with our partners, we will create a Ukrainian ammunition center." The order emphasizes trust in the expertise and production capabilities of Rheinmetall. I'm much more excited about this collaboration than the freaking, Boeing Antonov collaboration. That's Boeing is special lately. Also, hi K-Bell, and Armin's quote of the day is Armin's quote of the day is up, so let me read this because okay, humility is the foundation of all the other virtues. Saint Augustine. Biden showed humility and set his career aside for the sake of his nation. In doing this, he showed true greatness. I agree with that. I'm so happy that he put his ego aside, and let Kamala step forward, because that's a really, really, really good move. Also, Kat sent $20 and Chad sent $100. So we're at $140, which means that my classmates fundraiser is $560 away. Also, thank you, Joe, with $47.01. Such an interesting amount, which totals to $187.01. Confirm when you can. Yes, I will do so. Okay, so there is a, oh wow, 1 second. There is a $193.68. There might have been a leftover in my 1 sec. Let me see. Okay, so $193.70 is thank you so much. Also, I now know where you're from. So $380.71, which we don't have 69, no, because of the donation that came in in Swiss francs. Okay. And amounted to, oh, I forgot, Swiss francs are very similar to dollars. So $380.71 is what we're at. So whoever wanted to end this amount with 69, you did not succeed. Let me also check Venmo because I might have missed, because I don't get notifications. Yeah. Oh yeah, I did miss Venmo. See? 37.19 plus 37.19, which brings us to $417.90. When do we meet the new baby? Are we talking about the puppy? Well, she's not going to be here until the 11th of August. Swiss franc is very similar to the US dollar, yes. But it's a little, I think dollar is a little less than the Swiss franc. Yeah, it amounts to $193.68. I put 193.70 because, the 68 cents is a strange amount to okay. The ambitious aviation project between Russia and China to create a wide-body aircraft, originally symbolized by the abbreviation CR929, has come to an end without Russian involvement. Initially launched as a joint venture to rival Boeing and Airbus, the project began 10 years ago. However, Beijing has now decided to proceed without its Russian partners, transforming the CR929 into the C929, an exclusively Chinese development. The project, which was formalized by a memorandum signed by President Putin during a visit to Beijing in 2014, aimed to produce a 280-passenger airliner. Despite the initial collaboration, sources from China's Comac Aircraft Corporation have confirmed to the BBC that the partnership with Russia's United Aircraft Corporation has been dissolved. This development was showcased at the Farnborough Air Show, where the C929 was presented as a purely Chinese project, with no mention of Russia or the UAC. This shift marks a significant turn in the project, reflecting Beijing's decision to proceed independently in the competitive aviation industry. Thank you very much, Ilias. Sorry, I am also, you guys asked about the puppy, and I mean, the puppy is not here and is not going to be here until August. And for those of you who haven't heard about the puppy yet, well, you will. But Sinona, sorry, but I know, I'm wearing this stupid weights, so it's a little difficult to pick you up because now you're suddenly not 12 kilograms, you're 14. Okay, Cindy. Hey, bud. I know you're not too excited, but people are asking about you because they love you. You know how many times I'm being asked about you? I feel like people might think that, wait, sorry. Listen. Yeah, more comfy. I feel like people might think that I don't know. I'm hiding you from them because you know how many times I've been asked about you and I was like, oh, Cindy's sleeping. They might think I torture you, okay? And I don't torture you. I don't torture you. Repeat after me. I don't torture you. She's just kidding. I totally do not torture her. But yes, this is Sinona. I'm going to put her back. Oh, Sinona. Bubs, I want to put you down. But I just, I'm wearing these weights and it's hard. So give me a minute. I know. Here. There you go. Enjoy. She's so not happy. She's like, why did you pick me up? Dog was sleeping, triggered, pets make it better, confusing humans. Well, she wasn't sleeping this time. She was just chilling right behind me. And that's why I picked her up, because normally when you guys ask about her, she is sleeping and I don't want to wake her up. But this time she wasn't sleeping. She was just chilling behind me. But actually, let me give her like a chew thing, because she deserved it and she was being super, cooperative, and I'll just give it to her so she doesn't because I think she might want attention. Sit on. Yeah, but I need to find a smaller one, dude. These are huge and you already ate one today. Fine, I'll give you, yeah. The air raid is over. Come here. Okay. Yeah. Suddenly, she does not remember that I picked her up and she wasn't cool with it. The ambassadors of the 27 EU countries will convene today to deliberate on the European Commission's proposal for the indefinite immobilization of the assets of the Central Bank of Russia. According to the Financial Times, this move aims to address U.S. concerns regarding the use of these funds to support a $50 billion loan to Ukraine in dollars. Currently, the EU sanctions on Russian assets, which amount to 260 billion euro, are renewed every 6 months. This frequent renewal has caused apprehension among EU allies about the stability of the loan's repayment. The proposal for indefinite immobilization seeks to provide maximum predictability for G7 partners regarding the loan's repayment. And of course, we're having issues with Orban, because everyone in the EU has to agree on these terms for them to happen. But of course, Orban is not trying to agree on any terms because he wants Ukraine to suffer. Slovakia may introduce retaliatory measures in response to Ukraine's decision to block the transit of Russian oil. And so will Hungary. But the thing is, it's been 2.5 years, almost 3. You could have figured out where to import oil and gas from that isn't Russia, but you don't want to do that because, Fico and Orban are both Putin's little buddies. So it's kind of like, it's not our fault. It's not us who are cutting off your vital supplies. It's you who are still using a terrorist state to supply them, despite the sanctions. Russians and Kerch are constructing fortifications near the Crimean Bridge, according to Radio Liberty, which has published a photo showing a floating crane in the waters of the Kerch Strait. Additionally, the number of barges being used by the Russians to protect the bridge from sea drones has increased. I don't think that's going to help. I really don't think that's going to help, but, they can try. 7 more Ukrainian children have been returned from temporarily occupied territories, according to Save Ukraine. Among these children is the daughter of a Ukrainian military member who had been in the occupied territory for an extended period of time, as well as children who had not seen their parents for over 2 years. Yeah, the children who were kidnapped to Russia. This one was very interesting, actually. So it's an interview with Syrskyi. I know we will win, and I know how we will win. Ukraine's top general on turning the tables against Russia. In an interview with The Guardian, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, General Oleksandr Syrskyi, shared the following key points. F-16 deliveries. He indicated he knows the timeline for F-16 fighter jets, but could not disclose it. The jets will operate at distances of up to 40 kilometers from the front line to avoid being shot down. Constitutional duty. Emphasized the importance of all Ukrainian citizens fulfilling their constitutional responsibilities. Russian forces. Noted a significant increase in Russian military personnel from 100,000 at the start of the invasion to a projected 690,000 by the end of 2024. Military equipment. The number of Russian tanks has doubled, artillery systems have tripled, and armored personnel carriers have increased significantly since 2022. Defense strategy focuses on preserving soldiers' lives and not defending ruined positions at all costs. Zaporizhzhia region, prepared to respond effectively to a potential new Russian assault in the south of the region. Crimea, confirmed there is a realistic plan to return Crimea to Ukrainian control, aiming to restore the borders of 1991. Where do they land? That's not something that anyone is going to tell you because those bases are going to be protected at all costs. No one's going to know where the F-16 airfields are. It's very naive to want to know where these planes are going to be landing. It's kind of like not a thing that will be disclosed by any means. The Czech Republic will deliver approximately 500,000 rounds of 155mm ammunition to Ukraine by the end of 2024 as part of its initiative, according to Prime Minister Petr Fiala. Czech Republic, you guys are doing us a very, very, very large favor with this. Poland has launched an operation to strengthen air defense on the eastern border, codenamed Air Dawn, according to the country's armed forces. I mean, Poland has been fortifying their borders for a while now, and they really should be. Thank you, Olha. Thank you so much. And they really should be. It's necessary. At night, Russia attacked Ukrainian infrastructure facilities in several directions, including the south of the Odessa region and central Ukraine, using 38 attack UAVs. Air defense forces shot down 25 drones. 3 more Shahed drones were lost in location after crossing the state border with Romania. Interesting. I wonder if they landed in Romania. The Netherlands and Denmark are going to hand over 14 Leopard 2A4 tanks, which is great. And Spain announced the transfer of the Hawk air defense system to Ukraine, which, I mean, we don't know when we're going to get it, but they're saying September this year. But I mean, that's we have the projected timelines and then the real timelines. So we will see. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz stated that to prevent the deployment of American Tomahawks in Germany, Russia must first cease its war against Ukraine. Yeah, the Tomahawks are supposed to be stationed in Germany, and Russia is apparently super unhappy about it, but it's like, you don't get a say. Romanian foreign minister confirmed that wreckage from Russian drones was found on Romanian territory. She stated that Romania has informed its allies about the incident and is coordinating its actions with them. Of course, no response is going to follow. No response is going to follow. Did Ukraine... First of all, there is such a... Sir... I don't know what you were even trying to say, but no, Ukraine did not lose 1,000 elite men. Also, what the fuck is 1,000 elite men? How are they elite? What makes them elite? Do you mean elite soldiers? Do you mean like special forces? Do you mean elite men as in like, people from like the 1%? Like, what do we mean here? I'm pretty sure I know what they mean, but I also hate these stupid questions. They're provocative on purpose. Also, speaking of like infrastructure and electricity, so I had the weirdest freaking thing happen in my apartment today. So I had not a single electricity turnoff since 9 a.m. or even earlier. I don't know because I wasn't awake before 9 a.m. But I haven't had a single electricity shutdown since 9 a.m. And then I was sitting at home at 9:30 p.m. and my lights turned off, no warning. Usually there is a warning on my phone because I signed up for like the warnings from DTEK, which is the Ukrainian electricity provider. And then it turned back on 30 seconds later. And I was so confused. Like nothing like this has ever happened before. But it was so strange because I was like, oh, about time. I mean, it's been 12 hours. And then like it just turned off and turned back on. I was so confused. Czech President Petr Pavel believes it is necessary to involve Russia and China in peace initiatives to end the Russian-Ukrainian war to ensure a successful outcome. However, he emphasized that negotiations will be pointless if Moscow continues to demand Ukraine's surrender. Yeah, I mean, they are going to continue demanding Ukraine's surrender, so the negotiations with them are pointless. I don't know why he's like such a he's such a reasonable person, and his thoughts and ideas and what he Same here. No power cuts in the center of Kyiv. Yeah, I'm in the center of Kyiv. I'm like by the circus where I belong. Um, but it was really strange because the power did go off for like literally 30 seconds. But that's the thing. It's like he's usually so reasonable, so it's so strange to hear that from him. Like I understand what his point is. It's like, you know, like they're gonna need to participate in the like in the like in the sort of like, you know, signing of the peace treaties and stuff like that once Russia is defeated. But at the same time, like, you know, that Russia is not going to stop demanding Ukraine's surrender. Like, you know, they're never, that's the point. It's like they are pointless. They're pointless in negotiations because they're not trying to negotiate. The only way that they're going to be not pointless is after they're defeated and they have no choice. So it's kind of strange to hear it from him. In Russia, the download speed of the desktop version of YouTube will be reduced to 40% this week and to 70% next week, said State Duma Deputy Alexander Kinstein. In his message, the deputy called the degradation of YouTube a consequence of the anti-Russian hosting policy and a forced step against the resource administration. Aw, sad. Poland has handed over the 45th package of military aid to Ukraine. And NATO has identified more than a dozen signs that could indicate a possible full-scale Russian invasion during the preparation stage, reports Reuters. The agency did not specify what these signs are. According to the agency's source, Europe needs to be ready to quickly move troops to a potential front line and engage in battle if tensions escalate into war. And the headline of this article is NATO finds gaping holes in Europe's defense, if you want to read it. That's also all I have for you for tonight. And I have to write scripts for I have to write scripts for this. I have to write scripts for this segment I'm working on for my new job, and I'm having a very hard time launching it because I don't do well with scripted content, and it's really hard for me to write scripted content. So we were trying to figure out like a middle ground where it wouldn't be completely unscripted, but also wouldn't have to be scripted. So, alrighty, you guys, I will see you tomorrow evening, night, and I thank you so much for participating. And also let me check if there were any other donations. I think yes, there is. Oh my gosh, Jason, $25.99, which brings us to $443.89 out of the 700-ish left over. So we were very, very, very close. I think that's like $260 away or something like that. So I obviously will be checking. I obviously will be checking whenever I can. And, I hope that I will, if I see anything else, I'll obviously add it up. And if we get to the total before the live or during the live tomorrow, I will obviously announce it on the live. And if we get it before the live, then I'll just post in the YouTube community tab or tell you on the live as well. So yes, when do you start your live? I mean, it depends. Usually at like midnight or something. But today I did 11, and I'm going to try and start them earlier because I can't stay up that long. Okay, and ADHD has this effect also. I cannot deal with scripted stuff. I just can't script stuff. Like I don't work like that. I don't do scripts. Like none of my content is ever scripted. And I have such a hard time writing scripts. I'm not a writer. And like, I don't know, it's just not my type of, it's difficult for me. And especially like 5 times a week, that's just not, it's not feasible. Cheryl, did you see my PayPal from July 22nd? Yes, I added it to the previous, I've sent everything that I had on PayPal over to the fundraiser. But yes, I remember seeing your name. Yes, Cheryl, for the fundraiser, July 23rd. I mean, it probably was July 22nd for you, but July 23rd for me. So yes, everything that came in that said fundraiser was rerouted. Thank you very much. All right. Bye, guys. Usually in the evening, like late in the evening, is a good response, Redhead. Like I think it's the best answer I can provide you. All right, you guys. I'm gonna go. Good night. Thank you for the quote of the day, Armin. Thank you, mods. Thank you, everyone, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Okay, end stream.